Gentlemen, welcome back into the Trading Tavern. Aaron, it is an absolute pleasure that you're finally back from your trip. Alex, it's all right to see you again.
Thank you very much,
Jordan. Look, main elephant in the room. Aaron, how was your trip? How was your wedding? Congratulations, my friend. How are you feeling?
Thank you, brother. It was beautiful. It was beautiful through and through. It was an incredible experience. You know, everything was done in Polish. So it was
wow.
It was a challenge. Catholic weddings are very systematic, and just like trading, when you go through it without much preparation, it all sounds like Greek. But as long as you stick with it and you do what you need to do, it's a magnificent time, and the benefits, I can't bring words to them. It was just so amazing.
Wow, amazing. I didn't know your other half was Polish.
God. Yeah. So the wedding was in Krakow, just a couple hours south of the capital of the country, of Warsaw.
Wow. I have so many questions. Off camera, yeah. I've got so many questions.
At risk of upsetting a lot of people, Catholic weddings, are they the ones that go for like 3 hours?
Whoa.
The really prolonged ceremonies?
So it took a while. I don't want to lie to you and tell you I know exactly how much time there was, because I was just trying to focus on translating the bits and pieces that I could. We were probably there for a couple hours.
The ceremony itself, like the actual standing and doing the whole
I believe a very traditional
that was a couple of hours.
I believe a very traditional Catholic wedding is like that. They like the long ceremonies, and I know because I've got a relative who's married into a Catholic family, and we've attended. But I know traditionally that's usually the case. I was just curious to know if you guys went the same way.
Yeah. So when you look at things, right? So everything's a system, okay? Everything's step A, step B, step C, and it's been this way for a few hundred years. So she walked into the church. Great. I stood there, did my best to look pretty.
That's a good start.
Step one done. Entry ticked off.
Entry ticked off. She entered through the doors beautifully. I got confirmation from her father that yes, I still could marry her. And then I took her hand. We sat in these chairs, and then we kneeled, and then we stood, and then we sat, and we kneeled, then we stood, then we kneeled, then we sat, then we stood, and then we kneeled, and we kept kneeling, and then we stood, and they wrapped our right hands. That's why my wedding ring's on my right hand now. They wrapped our right hands in this silk thing, and I said a bunch of Polish words. So in truth, I'm not entirely sure what I agreed to, but I'm telling you, it was amazing. It was amazing. I'll definitely share some photos and throw some stuff on Twitter so everybody can see. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, congratulations. I saw some of the photos you put through. It was pretty incredible. I like your analogy of the 3-step process. All right, very similar to something we do every day, whether we follow it or not. We talk about it. I know, Aaron, you wanted to have a little bit of a chat about periodic trading reviews. Is that?
I love the way that you said that. That was so articulate. That was wow. You know, beautiful.
Well, you know, I don't know if you experience the same thing. You know, both of you guys have a little bit more trading currencies than I do. But when you look at the equity side of things and the future side of things, August is a tough month for a lot of traders, and that's for a lot of reasons. It's the end of summer. It's the beginning of school for a lot of people here in the States. And so that means a lot of big traders are going to be in and out of these markets as everyone is adjusting. A lot of large corporations, a lot of large banks are repositioning in this period. And so I thought, what a better time to talk about these types of things like periodic trading reviews than in August, because statistically, at least for me and most of the traders that I know that trade equities or futures, something along those lines, the indices, we have the least amount of trades in August statistically, just because there's very little opportunity. So what do you do with all that time? You're not supposed to sit in front of your computer and just trade because you see some pretty colors on the screen. We want to do the exact opposite. We want to take a look at our performance throughout the last few months and say to ourselves, where have we gone right? Where have we gone wrong? And so I just wanted to share a little bit about my process and talk to you guys about it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean,
I'm
you
all
just
ears
dropped
for
the
this
knowledge
one.
bomb. And...
I'm definitely all ears for this one.
Yeah. So let's break down something specific, right? So, for example, this year, surprise, surprise, most of my winning trades have been on the long side. I wonder why, right? Well, when you look at the overarching trend of what we've seen over the past year, we've heard countless conversations about how the market will inevitably crash, about how Apple doesn't deserve to be worth as much as it is, about how the banking sector is donezo, and yet the chart has gone up and up and up. This beautiful staircase. There's an old saying in trading, we go up the stairs, we go down the elevator, and that's certainly been true of this year. Now, mind you, the price action has been choppy for a lot of people, depending upon the products that you're trading. But for most people that are trend followers like me, looking for pullbacks within larger moves, if we're looking at trend and we're continually trying to trade with the trend, then the trend over the course of the year for traders that day trade is likely going to be the place where people are most statistically successful. So if you're taking a look at your trading and you have more of a contrarian perspective like Jordan, and you're still making consistently good trades to the short side, maybe because you're not holding as long as say I am, that's great. But you have to understand your system. You have to understand what you're after. So I can see in my statistics, hey, I'm still following the trend well. I'm still seeing the trend well. I'm just getting chopped up. This is one area that you can look at in your statistics and say, okay, maybe I need to really focus on and continually focus on this system because it appears to be working through what I see in my statistics. About 60% of my trades that are profitable are to the long side.
What's your average time that you hold on to a trade, Aaron?
It depends. So this year, it's gotten longer and longer. As I've spoken to it about Jordan several times, I've been really curious about swing trading. So it's grown from last year, somewhere around 15, 17 minutes to about 3 times that. We're talking anywhere between 45 minutes to a couple hours now when I'm in these positions. So things are continually growing and growing. And as time moves forward and I have the opportunity to talk to so many great traders, it'll probably grow a little bit more as well. And again, this is another thing that's really great to think about. When you have a trading system, when you have an idea as to what you want to be doing, you can find confirmation in what's working in your statistics. My winning trades are those that I am holding over that 15-minute mark. Ironically, my losing trades are trades that happen like that. So I know that if I see something going against me very quickly in a position, and very quickly is relative, right? So very quickly for me is within that 15-minute mark. If I see something going against me very quickly in that 15-minute mark, and I'm getting closer to that stop loss, it's easier for me to cut it and then move on. Hence how I can make my losers smaller and my winners larger.
From the start, I actually thought you were swing trading, as in you were buying and you were holding these stocks for a couple of days. Because I've been looking at, while you were talking, I looked at Apple. I don't trade stocks. I never trade equities. I never really have looked into them other than when Michael came to the Fivers and started trade the port. But for a position trader or for a swing trader, this is like, it's like gold, looking at some of these charts from the start of the year. So I'm surprised that you don't even hold them, for a couple of days, some of these, because some of these trends are really solid trends, even the downtrends as well from last year. They're really solid, and they stick it. Unlike Forex, Forex is such a rangy market. You can think you get into an intraday trend, and then the next minute it's just smashed down and it's broken the trend, and you're in a different range. That's all it goes. Range, imbalance, range. It's awful.
Awful. Hang on.
Awful. It depends. It depends what day. Sometimes it's fantastic. Sometimes
the word's
awful,
unique.
Especially unique. It's unique. Fair enough. But I do like trading with the trend as well, and that's why crypto is very much like equities in the way it moves, because it moves very, very similar to stocks. But
when you say you don't look at equities, and you never really did until Mickey popped up, do you have a portfolio? Like, do you invest in equities?
Only every month into the S&P, into an index.
Just into indices?
Yeah, just into an index. Money comes in, goes straight in there. Don't even look at it.
Very similar process.
Because at the end of the day, that's what all the pensions and everybody are doing anyway. So I'm just going to do that on the side as well. They're obviously doing it with other things, housing, all of these different things. But trying to keep different pots in different places. I've got obviously the crypto that unfortunately isn't doing much at the moment, but I've got quite a nice bit of crypto. And then obviously everything going into the S&P, and then that's it. But I haven't looked into day trading or trading equities on a regular basis. It's never something that's popped into my mind.
And I think that's fine, man. You like you said, you have different pots and pans in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So there are different things that people like to use more than others. I trade equities and futures just like I use a saucepan and a skillet more than anything else. My wife's a baker. My wife would prefer to use a ton of baking materials in order to make food. We're still making food either way. She just prefers hers prepared in a little differently. So we're still trading markets. We're still seeing these trends. We're still seeing ranges, but we're just using different products in order to get to the same result. We're just trying to make money.
Yeah, Americans tend to like trading stocks more than Forex. You don't tend to see many Forex traders in America.
Regulation and CFD brokers, and
like for the English, they're very big on the currency market. So I think that's also maybe has Israel as well. They love trading equities. So maybe it's something that when you first get into the whole environment of trading, it's depends where you're from as well and what you get into. Like when you first started trading, Aaron, what did you start? You just started trading equities, day trading stocks, or did you try?
No. So
you didn't?
I traded. I shared a little bit about this here. I traded something called a binary option. Do you have any idea what that is, Al?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, I know what a binary option is.
It's a horrible product, brother. So it's a zero sum game. So it's all or nothing. If you say you buy a contract, that's a 5-minute options contract, and it's on the euro dollar. And let's say the euro dollar is trading at 110.
Yeah.
If you buy a call, right? So if you're just saying that the market's going to be over 110 in 5 minutes, if it's over 110 in 5 minutes, then you get whatever you put into the trade, in minus $100, right? So say, and there goes Jordan.
Ta-da! Like magic. Jordan makes himself disappear. When he did.
I have no idea what just happened, but you guys.
I'm glad that we're still on. So
that's beautiful.
It's options trading. You go. So if it's a 5 minutes, depending on the leverage that you're putting on the bet that you're putting on, then
there he is. Welcome back, sir.
Akio Jordan, for all of your Harry Potter fans. Okay. So we're talking about the binary options. So let's say if it was in the money after 5 minutes, then you would get your money and then plus whatever. How does it work?
Yeah. So it was so each contract is worth let's say Each contract is worth some variety of $100. So if you put $50 into the trade and you win, you get $50. If you put $30 into the trade and you win, you get $70. But there's a less likelihood of you making that happen, right? If you put $70 in and the price is already over 1.1, then you get $30, whatever the case is. It doesn't offer much in the way of flexibility, because even if you're right on direction, you can get wicked out super easily. All those trades I took were on the euro dollar and and really the dollar yen, the pound dollar. I was trading forex for probably the first couple of years before I actually discovered futures and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. There's so many derivatives and so many different ways to just trade one asset. It's absolutely crazy.
So many ways to lose money.
Oh, it was great. It was a beautiful way to lose money.
That's the thing, to take money.
Yeah, it was a beautiful way to lose money. I wouldn't suggest it for anyone starting out. But look, we're traders.
It's a leveraged product, yeah. So it's like highly leveraged binary options, of course. Yeah.
Incredibly highly leveraged, yes, sir. But like you said, there's a lot of regulation here in the States for CFDs, and there are a lot of very high quality scammers that put out these products that look absolutely wonderful. They tell you that within a couple of weeks, the Ferrari delivery will happen. You just have to kind of choose your color, and then you go from there, right? But that's not that's not how it is real trading.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know the feeling. I know last week as well, we spoke a lot on sharks in the industry too. And I think there's another rabbit hole that we could just collapse into. But going back to August time, bad for equity traders, right? Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, slow for equity traders.
Yeah, just slow.
So what do you do? You spoke a little bit about your statistics. What do you actually do to find your statistics, to review that, and then what decisions do you make based on that information?
That's really great. That's a really great question, Jordan. So me personally, I have two methodologies. One, I record everything that I do through a video recording situation. So I
need those videos.
Charts. I don't know what you're talking about. I record.
I've been trying to get my hands on these videos for so long, Alex. He records himself trading as his trading journal. Right?
That's fantastic. Do you use OBS for that?
What was that?
How do you do it? Would you use? Is there a special program that you do that, or do you just use OBS?
No. OBS and OBS competitors, it's super easy to do. OBS makes it really easy because now it's easier for me to record my face and record the screen. Usually I have had to do that separately, but now I just throw on OBS and press the screen record button, throw my little face in the corner. That way, when I go back and I journal, and also I make sure I talk. Obviously, I like talking. I don't know if I've made that clear on this channel, but what I'll do is I'll talk myself through each of these trades, and so I'll be looking at the market and I'll be finding a situation where I'm saying, okay, I love this level. I love what we're seeing here in terms of resistance. I'm very interested in selling into this resistance. What's happening? I give it a sports commentator's kind of approach to trading, where I'm looking at the buyers, I'm looking at the sellers, and of course I'm a trading nerd, so I get super excited when I see the numbers flash, even if I'm not trading the product. And then when I go back and I'm able to analyze what I did really well that day and did really poorly that day, I can pull out the looks of my face. And there's a really great one when I'm very, very, very quiet. Usually that means I'm losing money. So I'll look at those time periods in the video to see what went wrong. And then I plug that all into an online trading journal. There are so many great systems, Trader Sync, Trader View, whatever you use. I put the actual numbers into one of those systems. I personally use Trader View. There's no real positive or negative. That's astounding. But because I have all of that data there, I'm able to look at the trades. I categorize all of them based on the strategy that I'm using, whether that be a longer term trend trade or that be a shorter term scalp. And then I also take a look at what happened during the day. Say if the S&P was up 1%, or if it was down 2%. I look at all of these figures in order to determine where I do my best work. But in order for me to do that, I have to have record of it. So this August, obviously, I'm coming back from the wedding. There's a ton going on with that, So I'm trying to ease into my trading by reviewing what I was doing last month, what I did well, what I did poorly, and reviewing where the market is now, finding my opportunities, lowering my size, and hopping in slowly but surely, because this is a career, right? This isn't something I want to do for the next year or two. This is something I want to do for the next 22 years. So I want to take my time, preserve my capital, and see what I can make happen, not in terms of making massive trades that'll change my life, but making small incremental improvements that allow me to slowly but surely build my account.
Hallelujah. Amazing. Honestly, so we were doing yesterday a workshop talking just about trading plans and talking literally about what we're talking about now. And I love the fact that you don't come back from your holiday and just go straight into the market, guns blazing, without taking a little bit of time. And I feel like a lot of people, when they first come into this industry, that's the mentality they got. They come to the chart, they look at the chart, and they get in. They don't really have a plan, and they don't look at it the same perspective as you look at it. And it's quite gonna have to get a short of that, because that's something that was definitely, to get that into somebody's mind, it would be a very beneficial for their trading careers, as one would put it. So good stuff, man. I like that way that you look at the market and look at getting into it. It's cool.
Cheers, I appreciate that. What do you do, man? I don't know if there's any seasonality.
I come in on the market on a Monday morning, I look at the chart, and I just go straight in. No,
I just leant forward. I was like, I'm ready for this answer. Come on, Alex, hit us with it.
So at the start, I had a trading plan, and I'm just breaking retests, EMAs, and fibs, and I love the way that you are so methodical, the way you do things, and it's fantastic. I am so, I wouldn't say erratic, but I am definitely, I come in, I'm a little bit more aggressive with my trading.
Freestyle.
Boom and bust times. But I definitely can take some notes out of your book. I think that's the saying, or leaf out of your book. I can't remember. I've lost my English.
A leaf.
I've been living in Asia. Leaf out of your book? A page. A page out of your book. I've been in Israel for too long. For anybody, like I used to live in the UK. Now I live in Israel for way too long. I forgot all the sayings. A page out of your book. I can take a page out of your book and definitely implement that kind of perspective into my trading. Because I come in maybe on a Sunday, I'll do the overall look at the markets and see different types of biases where I'll be looking to get into small intraday trends. But on the day, I'd go onto the daily, look if there's a particular bias, have a couple of levels where certain ranges, and then I just see what price action does. And then if there's a certain pattern or a certain way price is moving, then I'll get in on a break and retest of a certain level, or use a fib to help me get into a trade. And that's how I just go in and out. So that's the way I trade, but I don't really have a plan written down. I used to do some recordings with OBS. Unfortunately, OBS takes so much power out of a computer, and it makes your computer so slow. And it's like, I love doing that, and I can see so much value in it, but I can't deal with my computer being so slow and so crammed up with videos. So that's why I asked you if you had like an actual platform that did it. Because if there was a trading journal platform that would screen record without it being, saved onto your computer and in their cloud and on their servers, that'd be amazing, So
You just have to build a better computer, Alex. I'm hearing a bunch of excuses.
You know what? Definitely is a good idea. Maybe
you're walking on like a ThinkPad laptop or something. What's going on?
I trade from the computers in the fivers, so maybe we should speak to Gil and get better computers that can do everything. But you got your screens everywhere, and then obviously having OBS, and then all of the other stuff that we've got going, it crams everything up. I tend not to trade from home. I don't like trading from home.
Fair. I understand that.
Yeah,
and you know what? You have to figure out what works best for you. Jordan, what were you gonna say, brother?
I was gonna ask. Alex, if you what?
I don't know. Sometimes when you say so, I'm gonna ask. I don't know if you're gonna put me into the. Okay, carry
on. If you don't like trading from home, if you work from home, would you trade?
I would. If I worked from home, I'd have an area. I'd have an area in my house that is specifically for work and only for work and only for trading. Whereas at the moment, I don't actually have that in place. So if I go home now, then I've got my lovely roommates that, fantastic. I love my roommate so much. One of my best mates, David, I live with him. Literally like a frat boy, I go in there, there's music playing. I'm like, definitely not going to work from home today. So I'm not trading in the house. Like, I never would trade in the house.
Yeah, fair enough. I was curious to know if
especially if it's like heavy EDM music. If anybody likes EDM, like
I gotta join you on that one. I'm a fan of EDM.
Yeah, so
huge fan of EDM. I think you're missing out on a huge opportunity, Al. If you can trade with EDM in the background, you're just making it a trading movie. That makes it a little more exciting. That would be, honestly, I would pay to see that content. I would be excited to see it. So I think like a little.
What kind of EDM though? Are we thinking like a little bit techno, or are you thinking like hard style? What kind of trading music would go?
It's like German underground type. Like he's in the clubs 100%. In Berlin. He's 100%. Going hard.
Yeah.
100%. And
you know what? I'll try it. Maybe we can do a series of.
It would be a beautiful series. Like I'm telling you. Yeah.
All right. Hear me out.
Back on
we open up a trading floor, right?
Yeah.
But it's also a club.
A rave. A trading room rave.
There's a bar in Barcelona. Actually, Aaron, I probably should have told you this like 2 weeks ago. But there's a bar in Barcelona, which I think is called the Dow Jones or the Dow Jones. And the drinks in the whole menu is like a live stock market. And the more of the same thing that people are buying, the higher that price gets. And all the prices are fluctuating. And then I think it's like every hour or every 2 hours, we get a market crash, which resets all the prices. And I just thought,
that is such a
cool I want to go drink at that bar. Like, I'm going to be sitting there waiting for some random drink. I'm like, it's cheap. I'm getting it. Like, I just thought that was, and you're going to ease out your stock. Yeah. I just thought, wow, how good is that? So hear me out, boys.
Trading is such a beautiful example. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I'm incredibly disappointed you didn't tell me about that. I was in Barcelona for like a week. Jesus. 2, you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. When I was in Barcelona, I was incredibly hungover because I drank enough vodka in Poland to drown a fish. So,
I'm not surprised in Poland.
Yeah, you certainly shouldn't be. So when you're looking at these trading opportunities like anything else, you have to know when you can buy something that's cheap and get some real value out of it. Or maybe you're a little hungover. Maybe you're a little tired. Maybe you shouldn't be buying this thing now. So you have to take your time with it. That's a brilliant idea, though.
It's crazy how many ways there are to make money in the trading industry without actually needing to trade. We were talking about this like the other day.
No way.
So that's like the menu. So I'm on their Instagram right now, right? But like this is their menu, and it constantly fluctuates. This is here in Barcelona. Well, not here. I'm not in Barcelona, but this
here
is
in Barcelona. Yeah.
They
Aquí
went
in
to
Barcelona.
Barcelona and then back to Australia. So cool.
I'm intrigued.
That's
I'm down.
insane.
But look at that. Like you got all the Jack Daniels 750
If they're all
low
traders,
and it's going up.
Each of them are a 10 instantly. Everyone's a 10 right there. If they're all traders.
Right, hang on, you are getting distracted. hang on. We were looking at the bar, Alex.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying just a trading girl. I need a trading girl. Just instant 10. You know, and then she can understand my emotions, you know. You understand, you know, when I'm in a trade, in a bad trade, you know, I don't need a coffee right now, you know.
The man's newly married. At least let him go a week without getting in trouble.
Nah, that's really cool though.
Yeah. So walk me through it, Al. So you said you don't really have a kind of plan like mine. So what does your review look like? Do you review? Do you just kind of try to forget about everything?
I take a lot of screenshots. I will obviously put trading view, put the the risk reward tool up there on my levels and stuff like that. So I do have many screenshots of my trades. I used to use Edgewonk a lot as well. A little tip that I gave the people yesterday is what I would do at the end of the trading day. I'd go onto Google Docs, put my headphones in, put on the voice transcript, and just talk about what has gone on. So talk about my daily bias, talk about why I got into the trade, what actually happened, copy, paste into Edgewonk, copy the export everything from MT5, put it into Edgewonk, and then just do everything else pretty manually. And it was quick. It didn't take too long. Didn't take too long to do, and since then, you know, maybe it's a little bit of complacency, but because I'm doing the exact same thing all the time. If I see the pattern or see what I'm looking for, I just do it all the time. So I don't really track anything anymore. I should do. And plus, there's so much work at the fivers. I have hardly any time to actually trade. It's ridiculous. Like I wish I had enough time to trade.
That the both of you have found the laziest way possible to journal.
Period.
Some people like journaling.
Period.
Yeah.
No. You have to understand something, Jordan. And I think this is such a really good tip for traders. There are a lot of guys out there that I'll talk to, friends that want to trade, or people that approach me on Twitter, whatever it might be, asking, you know, how they should journal. I would love to say I have a book from 2016 with my trades in it, and every day I wrote about my emotions and how I felt and what was happening in the market. Life gets in the way. We're doing stuff, right? No one opens a trading account and becomes a professional within a week. I don't care how much money you have, right? So in many ways, you have to find the quick and dirty way to track everything. If you do not have a system that is easy to do, that is quick to do, you are that much less likely to do anything. So if you can, you want to take the Bill Gates method. Bill Gates, when he started Microsoft, he talked a lot about this in a variety of different interviews and a couple of different books. But his whole goal was to hire the laziest programmers possible, because they would find a quick and easy way to simplify a complicated process. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to simplify your trading. You want to simplify your process, and you want to take a lazier route to consistently record things, to consistently trade the same way. It's not lazy in the sense that you're not doing the work. It's efficient.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge part of trading that people don't really talk about, because we feel like we need to work hard in order to get anywhere. And that's 100% true. But you also have to work smart on the other end. You just got to be efficient.
Yeah.
Well said.
It was somebody actually said something yesterday. It's also about the language that you use in trading as well. And trading's not all about just putting on a trade. Trading is what you're saying. It's taking the statistics, it's building out the plan, it's that's trading. Trading's not just like, okay, I'm going to put 10 lots on euro dollar long. Like that's what some people think trading is, but it's the whole thing. But also the language is, when you say efficient, also is my trading today, was it good or bad? Some people use good and bad. And somebody yesterday said, actually, it's not about being good or bad. It's about, were you efficient today or less efficient today? And that kind of changing in language, I just wanted to add that, because that change in language makes you feel a little bit better, instead of saying, wow, I was a bad trader today. Wow, I was a good trader. You know, it's anyway, tangent.
But no, that's perfect. It's Alex. We talked about this a little bit before we started recording. You know, Alex and I are both martial artists, right? We love to grapple. We love to strike. Jordan, you have kangaroos in your country. They're magnificent boxers. I'm sure you'll understand. You know, there's an understanding in trading for a lot of newbies that when you enter into the markets, most of your trading happens during the market open. That's not true at all. As a competitor in a martial arts situation, we train for minutes, hours, days in order to perform during a competition for 1, maybe 2 5-minute rounds if you're lucky. But when you're up there and you're competing and you're say in a ring or an octagon and you're taking on these punches and you're dealing with the stress of being in that room, it is not the guy that has had the most experience in that octagon or in that ring or on that mat with the shiny lights on him that usually does the best. The person that performs the best is the better prepared. The person that was doing the work in the room with the door closed, no one saw what was going on. The guy that was getting up early, reviewing tape, making sure they were in great shape, making sure they were eating the right foods, that performs the best. So I think that's a beautiful analogy that you were kind of getting at there, Alex, because trading isn't about at 9:30 EST when we click the buy button and sell button on the open. It's about what happens at 9:30 p.m. When we're reviewing everything, when we're looking at how we can be better incrementally and taking those smaller steps towards being the absolute best that we can. At least that's what I think. I could be completely wrong, but that's the idea.
Always, if we're talking about athletes as well, people look at an athlete and see their performance and say, wow, I'd love to be an athlete. People don't realize how hard these people put themselves, the sacrifices, the amount of training, the emotional burden that they have just to get to that 5 minutes or that 3 minutes, or even a sprinter, you know, like all of that time is put into that performance. And the same with trading. People look at the profits that some of people make and they think it's anybody can do it, but it really does take all of the back end stuff to really even get close to being the person that can actually do it.
100%.
Deeper. Oof.
To be honest, this has been one of the quietest.
It's like you're the therapist. Jordan's there. He's the therapist with his notepad.
Right. Yes, I got the notepad. God, tell me how you feel, Alex.
I'm actually feeling horrible because of that break-even euro trade that I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah,
is euros flying right now, and that is a very sad situation. Ruben and I are taking on a new series for the Fivers trading room, and we're going to take 2 evaluations and we're going to trade them head to head and see who can pass it first.
Good luck.
It's going to be interesting. Everybody in Trade Delicious, make sure you come over to the Fivers and have a look.
Have a listen to him. Come on. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a really great example of what you're going through there, Al, of an area where you can just review in the future. You know, like you said before, you shouldn't feel bad about the euro running because it happens. It happens to the best of us, man. Just as another quick aside, you know, I was sparring this guy. I hadn't done any fighting when I was in Europe. Obviously, I'm getting married. My wife wouldn't be too excited if I ran away from her to get beat up by a bunch of foreign men, right? So
that sounds
I come back.
Alex's alley.
Do you know what? I was going to say that does sound quite fun. You know, going on your wedding day, get beat up, get married in the evening. Like, it's, you know, win-win.
It's wonderful, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions.
So I walk into my gym and I warm up and I go through everything. I put on the gloves and I start striking. I do pretty well. I've been doing this a few years, you know, I feel really comfortable. And then I start fighting. I start sparring with a guy who catches me in the mouth with one of the most beautiful jabs I never saw coming ever. Mike Tyson has a great saying, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the mouth, right? So this guy,
way. I think he said it in a bit more of an explicit way, though. Mike Tyson,
maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit. So he catches me. He catches me with a beautiful jab straight to the mouth, and then he follows up with a hook straight to my temple. I'm a little dazed. I have to collect myself in order to figure out what's going on. And then when the round's over, I have to sit out and really take a second to collect myself. He comes over and he walks me through the things I was doing wrong when I was in the pocket, in the heat of the moment, when I was trying to execute or move forward, right? They could think about the equivalencies, the parallels in trading. You're in the heat of the moment, you're in a trade, and then something happens that goes awry. Maybe there's an aggressive wick down on a long trade. In this case, I threw a jab that he countered with his own jab, and I got dazed. I fell apart when that happened. And because I fell apart, he was able to take advantage and push forward. And if it was a real fight, he would have knocked me out. The key to trading, just like the key to any type of physical endeavor, like in a fight, is you have to keep your calm. You have to keep your head. You have to take a deep breath. You have to reevaluate. And when things are over, when you're in that trade, when you're out of that trade, you have to take a second. You have to review. And you have to ideally review it with people. It's one of the reasons why I love Trade Delicious, you know, having this type of community where we can come and we can talk about these kinds of things. People can shoot emails to us and ask us questions, or shoot a comment and ask about what they can do better. I think that's so important for growth, you know?
Yep. Question. So both of you then, trading coaches, yes or no? Having a coach that, carry on. I'll leave it out there. Go.
Jordan, I'd like you to go first. I've been talking the whole time, brother.
That's fair enough.
That is fair enough. I'll ask you first. Trading coach, yes or no?
Trading coaches. It's a very opinionistic topic. I think with everything in life, you can have coaches that may help you, and you have coaches which will absolutely stomp you, right? And that's not to say that they were a bad coach. It just might be the fact that you don't resonate with that coach well. Perhaps your personalities don't match. Perhaps they don't see the actual situation in which you're in and you're trying to reach for, especially in trading, right? You need to kind of be aware of everything, not just what you're doing in trading. You need to be aware of everything, why they're in trading, the real reason. They'll tell you money or freedom or something. No, it's the real reason you're involved in. And then, look, realistically, yes. I think having a coach or a partner that you can learn from is a good thing. Someone you can work with, someone you can chat to. But I don't necessarily believe we need a big emphasis on a coach. I think you could achieve the same thing talking to a friend, talking to someone else who's doing the same thing. They don't necessarily, a lot of people have the idea that if you want to be coached to be a better trader or something, you need to get a professional trader, right? And that's the person that's going to teach. I mean, look at the coaches in football, right? Some of the best coaches in sports didn't get very high on a professional level as a player. Right, they went through the coaching round. Some of the best coaches in athletics, a very similar thing. So finding the right coach is more about personality traits and understanding each other rather than what they've achieved. I think a lot of people, when they look for a coach, they'll be like, get that guy because he's got 3 Lamborghinis, right? You know exactly the type of people I'm talking about here. And it's just a bit like, well, is this really the type of person you want to be simulating yourself with, right? And coached by, yeah. So look, I went really elaborate in a couple different avenues there. Short answer, yes. Long answer is you don't have to pay for one. Right. It doesn't have to be this big, like, now there might be fantastic having a big professional coach. And I've sat down with a couple coaches and sometimes they slap me in the face with what they say. And I go, oh my God, that was incredible. Like, wow. There's other times I've sat down with coaches, high level coaches, and I've just thought everything they're saying was complete fluff through what I've experienced firsthand. So it's this ever-ending balance beam, and it depends on whether or not you're disciplined enough to do your work. Business coaching, same thing. Sports coaching, same thing. You know, you've got what you need to be able to do it. You might need the extra help, just someone to guide you on where to place that puzzle, but I don't think you require a coach to make it in trading.
Nice answer. Nice elaborate answer.
Sorry, I was literally. You caught me off guard, right? I was not prepared for a question.
So true, though. It's like in every, it could be any hobby, business. It could be just absolutely everything. Coaches, in my opinion, as well, are good to have. But the way that you put it as well, not every coach fits and is the right coach for you. I remember going on a diet for a competition. I had a specific coach that all he wanted to do was put me on a deficit of calories till I was like depleted totally, and I couldn't even move. I was absolutely dead. And then I had to do a competition like afterwards, and I couldn't even get the energy to actually do the competition and actually give my full performance. Now that was a coach that was good for everybody else. If you want to like lose fat and you want to lose weight, brilliant, but not the coach that you want if you want to have a performance in a martial art. So I agree with everything that you said, but I know Aaron's got something because he was like, yes, a coach is needed. So I want to hear
that was not at all said. I can't believe you misrepresent me like that, Alex. I definitely do agree with Jordan. Yeah. I just want to take it in a slightly different direction. I think you made a great analogy there, Jordan, talking about, again, sports. When we're looking at some of the most successful coaches of all time, when you look at their careers professionally within that sport, they made it to the equivalent of Little League, the minors in many cases. And yet they're so insightful in creating really great situations for their players. I think that could be achieved, ironically, not through necessarily coaching every time. I think a lot of that is achieved through therapy. I'm one of those people that believe everyone should be in some kind of therapy, because I guarantee there's some part of you that's screwed up. Some people need, right? There you go, Jordan. Some people need more help than others. Like Alex should probably do a couple more sessions than Jordan, but as long as
I like talking as well. I'll just
bit of a jab there, huh? Bit of a jab.
But of course, I pulled his leg. But I think that there's an incredible amount of mental work that needs to be done in order to be successful as a trader. And finding trading coaches, it's such a difficult space, because how in the world do you find someone who's genuine and actually wants to help you, as opposed to someone who genuinely wants to help themselves buy another Lamborghini? So you really have to make that distinction. So most of my success in finding trading coaches hasn't been in typing into Google trading coach. It has been typing into Google therapist. It's someone that helps me work through some of the difficult the negative self-talk that I might have. Has done wonders for my trading, has done wonders for how I think about my trading, and has done much more positive work than the work that I've attempted to do with trading coaches. I personally haven't had much success with anyone that has trading coach anywhere in their bio in terms of making my trading that much better.
It's interesting you say that, because I think it's quite a taboo subject for a lot of men as well, is having a therapist. Like, I know a lot of my friends that are girls, they go to therapists, they speak a lot, and it definitely helps. But it's for men, for some reason, it's very, they find it weird to go and speak to another person about how they're feeling, about their issues and things like that. Now, not just for trading. Your trading, in my eyes, is a reflection on your outside world. What's going on in your life is going to have a direct effect on your trading. So the best thing, if you've got a blockage or mental block, or you're struggling with the same thing over and over again, then to go and do that, to go and speak to somebody about that professionally, I think is a fantastic way. And it needs to be less taboo, because at the moment it's it's like a fully taboo subject, and men don't like to talk about it. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think we're slowly starting to break that
status quo. The stigma.
Stigma. Yeah. Because at least here in Australia, I've noticed that we're an incredibly multicultural country. Especially Melbourne is a city. Very, very multicultural from everywhere. And we've all grown up kind of together in that space where you've got different cultures coming together. You know, some people will talk openly about their feelings and whatnot, and then you've got other cultures that will come through and be like, are you kidding me? Like, why are you embarrassing yourself, and slap them? Where we've had that kind of a mix. But you do look across the world, and especially in the older generations, it is, I am a man, I will be a man, I will suck it up and deal with it, leave me alone. And some can do that. Some can get away with doing that. Others cannot. And while we can put on a brave face sometimes and be like, nah, don't be silly, you know, I got this. You're right. It can eat you up. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of the issues that people find in trading, and Alex, you speak about this all the time as well, is how it's a reflection of yourself. There might not be an issue in trading that's causing you to lose in trading. It could be completely different. Maybe child trauma, maybe a girlfriend, whatever it might be. There could be something else that's really playing on your performance, and you won't know until you figure it out, right? Until you start talking about it. But I definitely don't think it's a proud stigma to have. I understand as a bloke, it's nice to feel as a bloke, you know, and I provide for myself. I'm good. I can do this. It's fine. But I also really appreciate the other times where you can open up and I can be like, no, I'm a bloke because I'm working through this, you know, I'm figuring this out. And then when you come out the other side, you're like happy days.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's we are on a journey here, like with anything else. And if you're on any type of journey, it is 100% my opinion that you should work to be the absolute best in that space. So you have to look at what the best are doing. The reality of it is, anytime I talk to larger traders, guys that have been doing this for 30 years, those are very, very, very rare people. You don't see many people at all that have been doing this 20, 30, 40 years. When I'm talking to any characters like that, they may have not had a quote unquote therapist during the early portions of their career, but they always had someone to talk to. They had some kind of mentor. They had some kind of relationship that enabled them to perform at their best. And because they were able to do that multiple times throughout the course of many years, they were able to expedite how quickly they were able to be successful. And they were also able to exponentially grow their accounts as they became more and more secure in themselves. Now, that doesn't apply to everything. I'm not saying traders are the happy-go-lucky people that are trying to make the world a better place always. That is most certainly not the case. But I'm saying it's another tool in the toolbox. If you're getting pissed off every time you lose a trade, so you break your keyboard and you run off and you kick the dog, I don't think that's going to be very helpful. But if you're taking a losing trade, you're able to take it in stride and you don't take that as a personal offense to who you are as a person, then you're able to come back the next day with a clear head, a clear mind, a clear conscience, and likely not go ahead and clear out your account because you've made a couple of mistakes. So I think it's just incredibly important to do whatever you can to be the best and whatever you can to be successful.
Yeah. But that's why I think as well, it's very difficult for retail traders generally, because a retail trader comes into this industry seeing somebody introduced it from some way. If it was the internet, from a friend, whatever, and they come in and they are alone. You know, they have this educator or this person. They don't really have anybody. Whereas you look at somebody that is in like an institution where they have all of this kind of set up in their education, in their onboarding, in the way that they've got a psychologist, or they've got a team lead, or they've got the person next to them that has more experience. So to expedite their training, they've got all of that in place, whereas retail traders haven't got anything. So for them, it's a little bit harder. But I think with the prop industry and now all of these bigger communities, you know, I think it's starting to get a lot better. But it's definitely, if you're a retail trader, it's a hard thing to start. And if you have those things in place, you can, like you said, maybe expedite your journey. So
it's incredibly hard. And when I say expedite, I mean, instead of it taking 5 years, it takes 3 years. It still takes a while in order to find this stuff, because of course, when you start trading, you're going to be attracted to the flashy stuff. Who wouldn't? You know, I would be lying to you. I'm sure all of us would be lying if we said we hopped into trading because we really love candlesticks. Like that's the passion. You know, I love the way that they form. They're just so aesthetically pleasing. You know, they're beautiful. Yeah. The reality is we want to make money, man. I want to make money. I want to buy my wife whatever she wants. Right now, she wants another dog. That's another $500. I need that to come from somewhere. I would prefer if that came from a trade as opposed to me swinging a hammer on a deck or something, right? And so when you're thinking about where to find the best education or where to look for, it has to be these types of people that we're talking about that have these qualities of, hey, this isn't going to be an overnight situation. This is going to take some time. You're going to have to do some work on yourself in order to make this happen. This isn't something where I can just sell you a strategy. You trade that strategy and you make a ton of money. No. There's much more to this thing. And I think now, again, like you said, Alex, with the prop firms and everything like that, it's a little bit easier to find a more earnest and more authentic trading coach, because in a prop firm, as long as you pass that evaluation, someone comes along like Jordan and helps you evaluate your trading. Well, it's in Jordan's best interest for you to succeed because he's a part of the same team that you're a part of. So I think that that's a real blessing right now, and we're at a great time to trade because of stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah, I think that there's we all got in the industry for the same reason. We all come from a retail background, and so do almost every person at the Fivers, like trader coming in, and everyone that watches us as well, right? There's not too many institutional guys who are going to be watching us and talking about us, because that's not who we're appealing to. We want to build a community of retail traders and teach literacy within this industry of what's really going on. I sat down with a trader this morning doing a one-on-one, and I asked her, fantastic woman working in clinical research, very intelligent, very switched on, trading at the Fivers, and I said to her, why are you trading? You know, what's your goal here? Why you've got a fantastic career? You know, I didn't ask, but I assumed making pretty good money. What's your reason for wanting to trade? And she said, I want to be able to do it full time. And I was just like, what? I was like, that is not a reason. I was like, what do you mean you want it? Like, let me question that. And I really dove into it. She wanted to trade full time so she didn't have to work full time. And there was a big issue there, because trading full time is working full time, right?
Period.
Trading full time is working full time. And there's a lot of people coming in thinking that this is so easy. And if I can get to a point where I can financially stabilize myself, you do quite the opposite when you're trading. But if I can get to the point where I can financially support myself, then I can go full time. I can go do whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want. And there's easier ways to get that done. There is much easier ways to achieve that, right? I think it's just a lot of traders need to sit down and ask, why are you in this? It's okay to be in this business to make money. But if you're going to be in this business to make money, be realistic. You know, don't sit here thinking you're going to be the next Dan Blazarian in 5 years. Be realistic. What's your current money situation? Where can you get to? And we've spoken about this plenty of times. Best traders in the world, they supplement their income. They have other sources of income. The best traders in the world, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they get paid a salary plus commission. Everyone supplements their income because if you know that your bills are going to be paid no matter what, you can trade freely on the charts, no pressure. If you only have 3 months, we spoke to Don Aaron about this. You know, he was always told have 3 months of savings saved in case he couldn't perform. He didn't perform for a year. A year. There's 33 years of trading, and that year he didn't make a cent. He actually lost money. Now, if you only had 3 months of savings, well, there goes your mortgage, there goes your house, there goes everything. So I think a lot of people just need to really reassess why they're in the market, what you want to get from the market. Once again, it's okay to want to get rich from this. It makes sense, right? But you're going to have to do it the right way. And I can assure you there are easier ways to get rich than to be a successful trader, because that is one of the hardest ways to go about it. And you see that when everyone goes out renting Lamborghinis and selling courses for it, right? That's their way of getting rich. So I think it's something a lot of people need to be aware of and just analyze their goals a little bit and be a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, which is all right if you want to make a course after you've shown that you're a good trader and you've got valid stuff to offer a community or valid stuff to offer the industry. Then you go and do a course to supplement your income, and then you don't have to worry just on trading, and you've got to pump up your personal income, like your personal account. It's fantastic, yeah.
Absolutely.
But having trading just as a sole income is a scary thing, because you just go, especially we talked about that last week, Jordan, you're the edge, you know, the person that is actually, unless you're an algo, you are the person that is trading. So you are the edge. And if unfortunately you have a bad day or a bad week or a bad year, what about all the other things that you're responsible for? And unfortunately, trading full time, unless you're getting paid a salary to do this, isn't really a smart idea. And I think people get it confused because of the bad guys in the industry that make it look so easy, because making it look easy makes it a lot easier to convert that lead into a sale. Same thing with my brother, for instance. He called me today. He was like, Alex, I'm thinking about buying a new computer, so you can teach me how to trade. And I'm like, oh, damn, man. I'm like, you know what, Charlie? Fantastic. But let's talk about how you can build up your construction business, because he's got a fantastic career in construction construction is fantastic. When you get people under you, you build clientele, you build houses, fantastic. There's so many ways. You don't need to, it's like shiny object syndrome, you know, you find something that you see the difficulties about the industry that you're in, you know how difficult it is. And then you see something somebody else is doing, only seeing the first part, which is the success. And you think that thing that they're doing is totally easy. And then you go and do that thing, and then you find out, hold on a second, it's not actually that easy as well. And it's actually very difficult. And then you get bored of that thing. And then you see, and then it's like strategy hopping, you know, you go to that strategy and it's all the same. Every time you go into one thing, it's going to have the same difficulties. So that's why when he said that, I was like, oh God, man, let's,
I think it's really important to note that we do enjoy trading. Everyone watching this, right? We're not wanting you to stay away. I just want you to be sure that you're in it for the right reasons, because you're not going to get success if you're not in this for the right reasons with the right attitude towards it. If you are working full time, your idea is to get to trading full time. Don't get on that. Don't focus on that. Focus on getting profitable. Don't focus on getting full time. Get profitable. Then when you get profitable, okay, let's look at scaling it up slowly, right? And then maybe one day you'll realize, oh, you know, I'm making 10 times what I was making there. I've got a bit of a savings, I can adjust. But then 9 times out of 10, you take the profit out of that trading account, you put it in some dividend ETFs. That pays your wage, right? That pays your rent. So you don't have to worry too much about XYZ. So look, I just think it's very important to supplement.
Swings and roundabouts, all the same stuff, just a different way of getting there. You know, it's everybody's looking for the same
swings and roundabouts.
swings and roundabouts. You know, it's the same thing. You know, they do the same thing all the time.
Okay.
You know, swings and roundabouts.
A roundabout, right, is one of those like ones you stand on at a playground, right?
Yeah. What do you think I was talking about?
I thought you meant like a street, like a road, like a.
No.
What the hell?
Well,
What's a swing and a roundabout got to do?
Yeah, swings and roundabouts. They do the same thing over and over again. You know, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super well said, Jordan. You know, the trading is a process, and passion is just a piece of the puzzle, but it's a super necessary piece of the puzzle. I think that if you can passionately trade a process, it will produce consistent profits. And if you're able to keep that in mind, that it will take time and effort, but if you're able to be patient, those profits will come. They might be small at first. They might be small for a couple of years, but you know, over time, you compound. You're patient. Things pay off. I think that's a great place to end this one, my friend. That's brilliant.
I agree. This has been one of the easiest things I've ever done because I haven't had to talk much. I've just let you guys just absolutely waffle. So
I love talking. I could talk about random stuff.
It is. I can tell. Guys, it was an absolute pleasure once again. Cheers.
Thank you for having me.
Early morning for you guys, but in the Trading Tavern here in Australia, I'm going to go crack a beer in the celebration of this. So enjoy your trading days. Enjoy your day, however it may go, and we'll see you next time.
See you later, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Hey guys, Jordan here. Just wanted to send you a personal little thank you for sticking around and watching us here at Trade Delicious. If you did enjoy the content, consider subscribing. Everything we do here is completely free. And of course, we have some other video suggestions here which you might love. We will see you in the next video.